Today, I wanted to show you how you can interact with a service like Notion all through Claude Desktop. This is thanks to what's called an MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. And ultimately what this does is it lets LLM applications like Claude Desktop to ultimately communicate and interact with your favorite software tools. So essentially, prior to MCPs, which I like to think of as this kind of communication layer, is it's difficult, if not impossible, for you to get data from a site like ChatGPT, which is almost a contained instance, to be able to interact with ChatGPT directly and have that communicate and update things for you in Slack or Google Drive. But what MCP does is it essentially acts as that communication layer so that you can ask your LLM to do something and it will connect with the server that you're trying to connect to and do the actions like it would through an API call. So the main disclaimer here is that it only works right now inside of Claude Desktop. So you do need to download this. It won't work inside of your browser. But once you're inside of Claude Desktop, it's super simple. You can come up to your settings and come to the developer area and press edit config. And what that's going to do is ultimately lead you to a file like this, which is on your computer, and you just have to open up that file and paste in the server details of the service that you are trying to use. So in this case, I want to work with the kind of Notion API. So I need to grab that from their website and put that in this file and ultimately add an API key essentially here. What's great is you can come to this GitHub or you can just search Notion MCP, but we can see here that there are hundreds of MCP servers already being built by some of the top and biggest companies. So maybe you've got Grain to do your meeting notes and you want to hook up your meeting notes to Claude so you can interact with them straight away. But in this case, we found Notion, so we can click into that to actually get the server and install details. So in this case, here are kind of the instructions which you can walk through yourself, but you essentially are going to copy this and add that to the MCP file that you've got here. From there, like I said, you can follow the instructions, but you would go to Notion, create a new integration. So in this case, I've already made one. This is where you get your integration secret. You can set the permissions of what Claude will be able to actually do. So maybe you just want it to read content but not create content. And that's there. And then you can also set pages. So in this case, I've just got it set to my whole team space, but you can have it set to individual pages if you need. So what I'm going to do now is come into Claude Desktop and kind of walk through a quick example of how this would happen. And I'll do so on this page in Notion. You can see it's empty. So I can just say update page to in Notion to include details on MCP servers. So it's a bit meta, but I can just do that here, and ultimately I don't even have to write any code or haven't really set up any APIs. Claude just knows to look at the MCP and find the best set of tools and essentially API calls inside of Notion that they've already set up on this server. So we can see Claude first has to retrieve the page. So they're looking for page 2. And they see that it's not a UID. That's fine. So they're going to search for it using the text. they ultimately then find the page, and now we can see to start updating it. So now it says that it's added this content. So as we click back onto this page, we should hopefully see it all there. And we do. So that was an AI direct edit into Notion from Claude. So how can we make this a bit better? So what I've got here is like an onboarding form for a fictitious design agency. So we can see there's got all these tables of client information, project overview, brand information, etc., etc. So what I've done is, using Gemini, I've come up with a transcript from a call. So you would normally get this from your meeting note taker. But ultimately what I can do now is I can come back to Claude and I can say, so I've called this onboarding form. So I can say duplicate onboarding form and fill in the form given the data from this transcript. Keep the table formatting. So yeah, I've got the call transcript. I've given it a super simple prompt. We can see this now going into the Claude artifact. So we can see that it's actually, it's understood this really well and really simply. Didn't have to write any code. And yeah, it's confirming that. And now ideally, let's see, okay, update a new page in Notion with this. So it didn't actually, in this case, find the call, but no worries. We've got the information how we want it. And it was at least able to read that. So we know what it interacted with. It just didn't do the final step, but that's fine. We just prompted to make the final step. So here we go. So we can see that it's posting a new page. And it's going to add in that these blocks here all automatically. So I didn't need to say, hey, create the page, then add the details. But maybe I should have in the sorry, the recording crashed. But so we can see the Claude has ultimately now finished going through all the tools, and looks like it's created inside of Notion. So if we come into it, so we can see that it's left the initial template blank, which is great. And if we come to this subpage here, we can now see it. So it hasn't nailed it in terms of the table setup. So this is formatted differently to this. But at least we can see kind of the basis of the tables there. So we can see project overview, which is similar to that, except not formatted. So, but really nice that it's able to take that transcript and ultimately put it in Notion for us, that we can then later on reference or figure out how to improve the prompt to get it into the same format. But ultimately, super cool, quick example of how you can use Claude Desktop and MCPs to update and interact with your favorite software and tools. Have a good one.